Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Frank Taylor, and today on the channel we are going to talk about cement. Cement, as we all know, is one of the useful materials we use in building in Africa, Europe and all parts of the world. Now we have different types of cement. We have Portland cement, we have pozzolan cement, we have different types of cement. But in this video, I'm not going to talk about the types, but then I'm going to talk about the grades of cement we have and the way we use them in Africa. So let me start with the cement, explain more about the cement, and then we get to the types a little bit, then we get to the grades of the cement and where we are going to use it. But then I'm going to emphasize more on where we are going to use the grades of cement for. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So we are going to talk more about cement. Basically, what comes into mind when we say cement? Cement is a binding material which we use in the construction industries. But then I'm going to focus more on the concrete. Now, concrete, as we all know, we use in our building constructions and all these aspects. We use water, gravels, sand, and cement itself in building construction. Now, let me emphasize more on the cement. We have different types of cement, as I said before, and we have grades of cement. But then in our part of the world, which is Africa, we don't normally focus on the grades of cement and their uses. We just get the cement and we use it, regardless of the grade or the type or any of this sort. Now we have different types of cement. We have the Portland cement, we have the pozzolan cement and the others. But then I'm not going to focus more on this aspect. But in Africa, mostly we use the ordinary Portland cement. And with the ordinary Portland cement, we have different grades. So we have the 32.5, we have the 42.5, and we have the 52.5. Now with the 42, 52, and 32.5, normally some people make it 33, 43, 53. It's the same thing. It's just the approximation to the next significant figure. So then I'm going to start with the 32.5. Now I'm starting with the 32.5. Now with the 32.5, the way we had it is the compressive strength after 28 days. So then after mixing the concrete with cement too, you get to know that after 28 days of curing, the strength of the concrete is 32.5. That is for the gradings, that's for the strength of the concrete at 28 days of curing and passing through the hydration stage and all of that. So with the 32.5, it's normally used at places where the initial strength is normally not required too much. So with the 32.5, we can use it for plastering, mortar works, rendering, and all these aspects. That is when we use the 32.5. Some people also call it 33 grade. And that is when the 33 grade is the same as the 32.5. So we use them at places where the initial strength is normally not required, and we don't need enough load on this kind of using it in construction. We don't need enough load on it. So with the 32.5, it's normally used for the mortar work, for the rendering, the plastering, and all these aspects of construction. Now we come to the 42.5 or 43 grade system. Now with the 42.5 or the 43, this is how it works. It is normally used as places where we need the initial strength. For example, when we are building bridges, we need the 42.5 because the initial strength is very, very important. In even building houses, building houses, the staircase, as in the steps that you make in the houses, because it's reinforced, we really need the 42.5 because we need the initial strength to be of level. So normally the 42.5 is normally used at places where the initial strength is really, really required. And when we have to reinforce the concrete because it contains low chloride content. So then it prevents corrosion of the steel or the iron rods which are inside the concrete. So it is used when we are using it for reinforced concrete. So 42.5 is used as places where the initial strength is normally required. Now we get to the last one, which is the 52.5 or 53. Now it's also used at places where the initial strength is also required. It also has a low chloride content, which is also used in reinforced concrete because it prevents corrosion of the steels, and also the initial strength is also required. Now with all these grades of concrete, you get to know that after 28 days, they are going to get the grade, they are going to get a compressive strength to be the 52.5, the 43.5, and 33. and 33. So that is it. So when the initial strength is required, we normally use the 42.5 and the 52.5. And with the 52.5, it also have a high resistance to sulfate. So it's also used at places where we are building retaining walls or any kind of walls which also needs some initial strength. It's also used for building bridges. It's also used for making roads, and also all these aspects of it. And with the 33 or the 32.5, it can also be used for tiling because the initial strength is not that required and the compressive strength of it can be low, and which it can be used for it. So without wasting much time, I'll also get into some aspects of things that we have to pay attention to. That is the water cement ratio. Now all these grades are there. We have the grading system as in the 32, 42 and 52. But then when the water cement ratio is not balanced, you are not going to get the initial strength to be at its maximum base, because normally in Africa we don't pay attention to the curing stage when we produce or when we make concrete slabs. As in the concrete slabs, the 42.5 and the 52.5 is normally used because it's reinforced, and we don't cure them, we don't put water on them, and we normally don't even leave them for 28 days before we continue our construction. So then normally it is good to also make the water cement ratio to balance so that the initial strength is always gotten. So in conclusion, every grading system of cement is used for its requirement. We have the 32, 42 and 52. We normally use them interchangeably, which is not that bad, but then you don't get the strength that you need for the construction. So normally the 32.5, because it's 32.5 and it is low, we use it for the construction aspect, which the strength is not all that required. But the 42 and 52, we normally use at places where the initial strength is used. That is the concrete slab, the bridges, the staircases, and all these reinforced concrete aspect of it. And with the 32, we just use it for plastering, the tiling, and other aspects of it. Now, normally in Africa too, as I said before, we have the 32.5 and all these. We have the R, N, and L. Now the R stands for rapid, the L stands for low, and the N stands for normal. But in Africa, normally we use the R because of our weather conditions, so that it can fastly hydrate, as in it can the heat of hydration can fastly occur, as in the water cement ratio balancing reaction can fast balance. Let me put it that way, it can fast react so that we can get the initial strength very fast. So the rapid is normally used in construction in Africa. Without wasting much time, I'll end here. See you in my next video. Bye.